Welcome. We're so happy to have Diego Gallego Garcia with us to talk about the Chaco Eagle today. And I am Julie Brown. I'm the Raptor Migration and Programs Director at HMANA. And filling in for Josh Haas today, we have Phil Brown, my husband, who's down the road at his office, and he's the Director of Bird Conservation for the Harris Center here in New Hampshire. And he is also the chair of the tour committee and helps host HMANA tours. So if you are new to HMANA or watching from Facebook, not familiar with us, we are a raptor migration nonprofit, and we are kind of a support organization for the Raptor Migration Monitoring Network. So we manage data on our database, hawkcount.org. We offer a lot of educational materials, lead raptor themed tours, lots of programs like Winter Raptor Survey, Junior Hawk Watching Program, and we offer annual grants to our monitoring sites and also to the raptor research community. So check us out, HMANA.org, if you want to learn more about our programs. And there's also hawkcount.org. So that we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary for Lunch and Learn. We started it actually 2 years ago next month during the pandemic, and I'm excited that we've continued it. We've been offering monthly programs. It's just been really a great way to feature a lot of raptor and bird experts from around the world. So we want to keep it going. A few things just about Zoom. This session's being recorded and it's going to be available live on Facebook, and it's going to be available on our website in the next week or so. And we have muted everybody except for the speakers. Please engage with us in the chat window, make comments, ask questions. If you don't already receive our newsletter, you can sign up for that in the chat with your email address. And Phil's going to be monitoring the chat window, so he will he'll ask Diego your questions at the end of the talk. You can always adjust your video settings. You're probably familiar with this already, but up in the right-hand corner, gallery versus speaker view. And as always, you can turn off your video if your internet speed is slow. So without further ado, I will have Phil introduce Diego. Go ahead, Phil.
Okay. Hello, everybody. It's my honor to welcome Diego Gallego Garcia. Diego is a biologist from Bilbao, Spain, who from an early age has been fascinated by the ecological processes that occur in nature. Early in his career, he worked on several projects related to wildlife research and conservation, primarily in Spain and Portugal. 5 years ago, he embarked on a new life in Argentina and became fascinated by the endangered Chaco Eagle. Today, he is a Ph.D. student at the Argentinian Scientific and Technical Research Council, studying the movement and dispersal ecology of the juveniles of this endangered raptor. Diego is also part of the Center for the Study and Conservation of Birds of Prey in Argentina, a group of scientists that contributes to the protection and conservation of raptors and their habitats, including research, outreach, and the promotion of raptors as key for ecosystem functioning. Diego is live today from Hawk Mountain, and he has been part of their spring raptor traineeship, and he helped out with the spring hawk count this year, as well as some of their bird monitoring efforts underway right now. So Diego, welcome. We're very happy to have you here. Take it away.
Okay, do you hear me well? Okay, well, thank you, Phil. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Hawk Migration Association of North America. Thank you, everybody, for coming and giving me this opportunity to present you this rare species of South America. A few things about myself, just in case you want to know. This is the place where I was born, North Spain, the Basque Country in red. Of course, for me, it was very easy to be a biologist. You have there my father, my family, some of my friends. Our area is very natural, lots of mountains. So in 2014, I got my bachelor's in biology, working with river otters. I joined an internship with viviparous lizards in the Pyrenees mountain range between Spain and France in 2015. Then I got my Master's of Science in Zoology in 2016 in Madrid, working with some rodents. And finally, I worked with endangered species that is in the Iberian Peninsula, the Iberian desman, which is endangered. But as Phil said, my opportunity came in 2017 when I got a research assistant position in La Pampa, which is a province in central Argentina, working with raptors with this Center for the Study and Conservation of Raptors in Argentina. And eventually, in 2019, I joined the group officially as a PhD student. So after this short presentation, let's have our Chaco Eagle, formerly known as crowned solitary eagle. Crowned eagles or crested eagles are very common are some species that appear in South America. Between them, we can find the harpy eagle, the solitary eagle, some other black hawks, for example. And this one is very characteristic because of the color and the crest on the occipital part of its skull. You can see that in the three images, there are like 3 or 4 feathers, which are very noticeable. And this eagle is also, when it's adult, the color of its plumage is gray to ash gray. So that's the main characteristics of this eagle. Of course, when you see it flying, it's very big. I guess that I did it well with the American measurements. It's 1.80 meters. In European measurements, it's like 6 feet wingspan. And another characteristic that it has is a subterminal white tail band. So Chaco Eagle, the range of distribution of Chaco Eagle covers southern South America. You can see in yellow the places where eBird now states that this eagle is appearing. Of course, Argentina, Paraguay, Bolivia, and the southern part of Brazil. The red part indicates the place where this eagle is extinct, which is, of course, Uruguay, where this eagle has not been seen since the 1930s. So nearly 100 years ago, it became extinct. This is a typical habitat of Chaco Eagle. You can see that it's a very savanna-like habitat. If you see the ecoregions in Argentina, you can see in light green the espinal, which is the most typical thing, or I would say that is the most similar thing to the African savanna, with this calden, which is the name of this tree. It also occupies this yellow, narrow yellow place called Desierto del Monte, which is a desertic area in western Argentina. And of course, the Chaco, which gives it the name to this Chaco eagle, which is one of the most vulnerable ecosystems in South America. Having said that, one of the most interesting things of this eagle is that it feeds primarily on venomous snakes, such as the coral snake and the yarara. Those two snakes are the most typical venomous vipers in Argentina. And when the chick is at the nest, this eagle can bring the nestling up to 5 snakes a day. That's one of the best ecosystem services that this eagle can bring to us. Another important meal that this eagle has are armadillos, precisely big hairy armadillos and peaches, which are very common also in semi-arid areas of South America. Other prey that we can find are skunks, tegos, Chaco tortoises. We have also found some other like fish, but it's very rare. But I will point out a very important thing here at the bottom of your slide. Crowned eagles or Chaco eagles rarely prey on livestock in Argentina. Persecution is not justified. I will come back to this issue later, but so far we haven't found any livestock species within the diet of this eagle. Concerning breeding, there is one very important thing about this eagle. It only lays one egg per reproductive attempt, which is talking about recovery rates. It's important to tell this. This egg is incubated for a month and a half by the female mainly. At the bottom left, you have a picture by taken from a drone. As most raptors, these eagles have a very the roles are very distinctive. So male would hunt while the female is incubating at the nest. This is a nestling at the nest. It takes like nearly 2 months for it to fledge from the nest. And in this stage, both female and male participate in feeding the chick, giving shade to it. You can see at the bottom left, the male bringing a small lizard to the chick. And after that, the chick, the nestling, the fledgling fledges. And this is what my thesis is about. We are trying to understand how many months or how many days this eaglet is with its parents until it gets independence. For the moment, preliminary results indicate that it's about 7 to 8 months, which is pretty logical because at the end of these months, it's when spring comes again. So this eaglet is pushed outside of the parents' territory so that the parents can start another reproduction if things go well. Well, today I'm not talking about this eagle only because it's a beautiful individual. It's very, like for photographers, beautiful to see. But this eagle is endangered. It's declared endangered by the International Union of Conservation of Nature. There are less than 1,000 individuals in the wild. So if you remember the map of distribution of this eagle, it covered Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, and Paraguay. You can imagine how many 1,000 individuals are there. So this eagle lives in very low densities, and it's facing lots of conservation problems, mainly related, as with every eagle in the world, with human. First of all, habitat loss. As I told you, Chaco ecoregion is one of the most vulnerable biomes on Earth. We can see a map of Santa Fe province. Santa Fe is situated in the northern part of Argentina. There you see in light gray the place that was logged in the last 30 years. And as you can see, the appearance or the occurrence of Chaco eagle has this is only limited to the place which is dark gray, which is precisely the place where they did not log any tree. Whereas in the eastern part, where is the light gray, there are no more Chaco eagles. It's about 1/3 of the original territory of Chaco eagle that has been lost just in this province. Well, sorry about this picture, but I felt I had to show this to you. This is actually the first Chaco eagle picture ever taken. We have to go back to June 2000, so the early thousands. My supervisor, Jose Sarasola, was doing some research on swine-sauce hawks in Western La Pampa when he found this. So in the early years of this millennium, this eagle was hunted a lot, mainly by two reasons. One is a typical reason that one hunter sees a very big eagle and wants to just bring it down, like to see what it is. And the other one, which brings me back to some previous slide, is that some farmers thought that this eagle would prey on livestock, precisely on goats and sheep. The thing is that between hunters and farmers, we have counted more than 100 cases or events of illegal killing with this eagle. Another important issue is the electrocution on power lines. I think that you here in North America, you are very familiar with this conservation issue. As I told you, 6 feet wingspan. In low to medium voltage power lines, this eagle is very prone to get electrocuted. We have counted more than 30 events of death by electrocution, which are mainly due to, well, so this eagle, as lots of eagles, can die by electrocution by 2 ways. The first one is, of course, touching 2 wires at the same time. And the second one is touching the wire and the grounding system, or the pole, if you understand that. In this second case, it's even worse because sometimes, as you can see in these 2 pictures at the up left, there are jumpers above the cross arms, which increase the risk of electrocution by double or 3 times even. These are only some examples of Chaco eagles being electrocuted in San Luis, Mendoza, and La Pampa provinces. Of course, it's not only Chaco eagle who is suffering about this. There are turkey vultures, black vultures, other eagles, variable hawks, and even some parrots, which is a very big issue. Some solutions that we have implemented so far are, for example, this additional perch that we can just place above the wires. This pushes the birds above, so they don't want to be on the same plane of the wires, and they just perch on this additional perch. Another one is to install wire insulators. We can either install one at the center of the, as you can see in the bottom picture, one at the center of the on the central wire of the crossarm, or even install 3 and get rid of the risk at all. And this is the last one that we have implemented, which is to just place the jumpers below the crossarm. And since raptors always come from above, they will suffer no risk of electrocution. Another very important threat, again, sorry about the picture, but I feel that sometimes I have to show it just to prove what is happening, is drowning. Drowning in water reservoirs. I guess that you are very familiar with this. Farmers use these open pit reservoirs a lot in semi-arid and arid areas. And it's not only, again, this eagle, lots of birds go down to drink water, and if they accidentally fall, it will be very difficult for them to go out. We have counted more than 30 eagles dead in these structures. So I will show you a video now. This is a Coronatus melanoelecus, another type of eagle, also drowned in this tank. And I will show you now a video, which is in Spanish, but the subtitles are in English, showing these issues, this problematic. So I hope you can enjoy it.
Los reservorios de agua o tanques australianos son infraestructuras esenciales para la producción ganadera. Sin embargo, estas estructuras pueden convertirse en trampas mortales para la fauna silvestre, especialmente para las aves y para algunas catalogadas como en peligro de extinción, como el águila coronada y el cardenal amarillo. Se estima que cientos de miles de aves mueren ahogadas cada año en estos tanques. Una medida para reducir esta mortalidad es la implementación de rampas de rescate en estos reservorios o tanques. Las rampas de rescate se pueden construir de forma fácil, rápida y económica. Una malla de alambre de 1 metro cuadrado es suficiente para su construcción. Doblando 2 de sus extremos hacia el centro, resulta en la rampa lista para ser instalada. Un elemento flotante en el extremo, asegurando la rampa al borde del reservorio para evitar su deriva, aumenta el área de acción de la rampa. rampas de rescate funcionan como un medio para que las aves puedan alcanzar el nivel del agua sin riesgo de ahogarse, y así reducir la mortalidad de fauna silvestre en estos reservorios, especialmente en los meses de primavera y verano, cuando estos incidentes son más frecuentes. A su vez, evitar la mortalidad de fauna silvestre mantiene la calidad del agua, reduciendo la frecuencia de limpieza de los tanques y ayudando a preservar la biodiversidad de nuestros ecosistemas naturales.
Okay, I hope you heard it well and you understood. If not, we can go back to it on the question section. So this is a rescue ramp. It's a very economical thing. It's cheap and it avoids a lot of problems regarding the presence of dead bodies in the tank, which is something we are trying to implement in La Pampa province. I will go again to this graph that it was shown on the video, only with the implementation of one ramp at the tank. The amount of individuals dead during the whole season was reduced by a half, which is a lot. I mean, we are talking about 25,000 water tanks in La Pampa province, which is only a province in Argentina. There was a study in 2016 saying that in each of these tanks, an average of 10 birds is dying every year. So if we multiply 25,000 per times 10, it's like 250,000 of birds that are dying in these structures, which is a lot. And some of them, as you saw, are endangered, such as this Chaco Eagle that I'm talking about. So I talked already about habitat loss, direct persecution, electrocution, drowning in water reservoirs. We still cannot confirm this as a whole, but we suspect that poisoning is also an issue with Chaco eagles. I didn't say it, but Chaco eagle, as golden eagle, as bald eagle, can be opportunistically a scavenger. So it is very sensitive to any poison that is placed on any livestock, like pretending to kill other predators. In Argentina, we have lots of issues with the mountain lion, with our cougar or puma, as it's called. And you may have heard about the episodes of massive killings of Andean condors, like this one in the picture, 30 to 40 individuals killed by a single sheep that was placed on purpose on the field with some venom. And it was only supposed to kill one puma, but in the end it killed 40 condors. So we are about to say that one of the eagles that died this year, the cause of death was poisoning. Okay, and this is a very important part of my talk. Most of the deaths of Chaco eagle occur during the first years of their life. I didn't say it. Chaco eagle shows a slow life, including a retarded maturation. So individuals are sexually mature at 5 years. So during those 5 years, they face the most of the death risk of these like sources of mortality that I told you. In this picture, you will see on the x-axis the time elapsed since we tagged the individuals, and on the y-axis the survival estimate. So the causes of death are sectioned as follows. Natural should be the white thing, direct persecution or illegal killing, the yellow, electrocution in black, drowning in gray, and the total in red. If you watch carefully, only one, or I would say only 15 out of every 100 eagles can die of natural sources of mortality, such as they starve to death, they face a storm, they are eaten by other predators, etc. If we take into account human-related causes of mortality, we get down to 70% of eagles that die during this stage. So this means, in other words, that only 30% of juveniles reach adult stage, 3 out of 10. So taking this in mind, taking also in mind into account that Chaco eagles lay only 1 egg per reproductive attempt. Not all nests are, of course, successful, and they face this big mortality during the first years. Some years ago, we developed at CECARA, our center, this model of survival, of extinction, which tells us basically that Chaco eagle is going to go extinct in the next 50 years, which is quite depressing, but also gives us wings to work on this issue. So this is us. We belong to the Center for the Study and Conservation of Birds of Prey in Argentina, which was founded by the man that you have at the right, Jose Sarasola, my supervisor. We all belong to CONICET, the National Scientific and Technical Research Council in Argentina, and at the same time, we belong to the National University of La Pampa. And 3 years ago, we created this Chaco Eagle project, or Proyecto Águila del Chaco in Spanish, just to scale up our conservation cause to other places other than La Pampa province. We have 3 main tasks in our group, which can be outreach, research, and conservation. Of course, one of the main things that is isolating this eagle and like giving the last word to its destiny is that there is a lot of lack of awareness in Argentina and in other parts of its distribution range. So people don't know this eagle. We concentrate lots of efforts in rural elementary and secondary schools, where we talk about these issues with people. I mean, children are the future. We have to change this first of all, in order to ensure that these people are not the next hunters of this eagle. We also attend rural meetings and auctions where lots of people that work in the field, farmers, livestock ranchers, landowners meet. And we explain this to lots of people so as to gain more people to our cause. And of course, we visit personally some field people. We do personal interviews at ranches, which ensure a more personal like contact with people, and that way we can actually gain more people to our cause. You may think that this is not a very important thing in science to do, but this is a graph of preliminary results. During 2021 and 2022, so late 2021 and early 2022, we performed the first big program of outreach, research, and conservation of Chaco eagle in northern Argentina, mainly the provinces of Santa Fe and Santiago del Estero. You can see here in blue the number of people that we reached with our talks, even in schools, in rural auctions and meetings. I could tell you it's roughly 2,500 people that we reached. But in orange, you may see the number of people that before we came into this area knew who the Chaco eagle was. So less than 10% of the people, of the locals in this area, knew about Chaco eagle. So again, Chaco eagle is facing problems not only because people could hate it or not, because people don't know it at all. And this brings me back to another example. So as I told you, this project started 20 years ago, actually, in the 2000s. You can see Jose at the right of the picture. It's of course younger than he is now. But let me show you this. So I told you that the illegal events of the events of illegal killing of Chaco eagle were very common in the early years of this century. So thanks to the outreach campaigns that we developed, that are marked with those 2 stars, 2 yellow stars, since 2016, we haven't had any other reported Chaco Eagle death by direct persecution or illegal killing, which is a milestone. And I think we have to say this because this is very important in order to continue working towards the same kind of activities of outreach. That's why we are going to other parts of Argentina to spread the word. The other big thing that we do is research. As I told you, we are researchers. We make the most of local knowledge, of interviews, of meetings with producers, actually to find the nests. This is a very elusive eagle whose nests are not very easy to identify. As I told you before, this eagle lives in very low densities also. So 9 of each 10 new nests that we find each year are thanks to the direct help of rural people who really know where the eagle is. When we find the nest, we start monitoring it. We have recently found that monitoring Chaco Eagle nests with drones is most efficient, so we save time, it's cheaper, and it's also a matter of disturbance. So eagles are not disturbed at all by this way of monitoring. Early last year, we published this paper with my supervisor, precisely saying that maybe not in accordance with every studies with drones, but also it's very important to know the responses of these eagles to drones. And in our case, these eagles responded very well, so they didn't care at all. If I go back to the picture at the bottom left, you see that female is incubating, and the only thing it's doing is looking at the drone. One of our thoughts is that Chaco Eagle has no aerial predators, so maybe that's why they don't care at all about drones. Once we get the nest, once we know where it is, and trying to minimize disturbance, we install camera traps so as to learn more about the diet of this eagle, the parental care. You can see a monitor lizard on the second picture. If I'm not wrong, I don't see it from here well. Yeah, there is another lizard at the bottom right, a snake at the bottom left, and the female bringing nest material at the bottom right again. So these pictures are very useful because we can address the causes of nest failure, for example, not only diet and parental care. So once the breeding season comes to an end, we clean up the nests. You can see at the left picture, so the nest is there where the ladder is finished, like 15 meters. We can also clean by traditional methods. Of course, we get the chick, the nestling, sorry, and we band it and tag it. So we place these rivet bands to the fledglings when they are approximately 60 to 70 days old. And we also install GPS transmitters, which are powered by solar energy, have a life expectancy of probably 8 years, but I can tell you that one of them is already 9 and still working, so we are very happy. Weighs less than 3% of the body, of the total body of this eagle, and gives us 1 location per hour, which is very useful to address habitats and whatever it is. This is an adult Chaco Eagle that fortunately made it to the adult stage. When this picture was taken, it was 5 years old, so it was the first time it was breeding. And of course, we are working with lots of movement data for my thesis and for future studies. We get, as I told you, lots of information on the location, speed, height, and we can make like kernel density estimations to account for home range. And this, of course, is very good for science, but we also use this for our next task at Chaco Eagle Project, which is conservation. For example, with water reservoirs, if we see this home range, you see that in the middle of it, there is a small square, which is a water reservoir. So what we do is we concentrate our efforts of conservation in the places that are inside the home ranges of these eagles, like, for example, placing these rescue ramps, or talking to power line or electric companies so as they can retrofit the power lines and try to avoid all the human-related causes of mortality of this eagle. And let me, with the permission of HMANA, let me try with this last 5 minutes of my talk to ask for help, to ask all of you about help. Of course, we are the only research group doing research now in Argentina with this eagle. It's very difficult for us. And as I told you, we are developing a massive program throughout Argentina. This is the country of Argentina. In light pink, you will see the current distribution range of Chaco Eagle. So, La Pampa province, the place where we started in 2000, early 2000s. We spread to Mendoza in 2015, then to San Luis in 2017. And during the last years, we have gone to the northern part of Argentina to get to know more about this ecosystem, to the Chaco ecoregion, 2020 and 2021. So last year, which was, I think, the most productive year that we have had, we got more than 30 reproductive territories, inside which we were able to identify 23 active nests. That's a good number, gives us a lot of clues on, it's a good end for a scientific study. And of course, we were able to tag lots of individuals so that nowadays we have 14 tagged individuals that you can see then, the different points in Santa Fe province, in La Pampa, and in Mendoza provinces mainly, that are giving us very important, vital information about habitat use, movement ecology, and probably they are also giving us clues on what are the threats for juvenile conservation of this Chaco eagle. So now the problem is that these GPS devices cost not a lot of money only to buy, but also to maintain. The information that comes from these GPS devices is very expensive, and we are running out of funds. So we have started a crowdfunding campaign. I have to thank Lori Goodrich from Hawk Mountain Sanctuary for helping me with this thing. Of course, I invite all of you who want to spread this word, and if you happen to have any money, yes, you are very welcome to donate. We will thank you a lot. We are planning to have enough money to give information for 2 years for these 14 eagles. Lots of PhD programs will come after this. Of course, some other postdoc positions, because there is a lot of things going on with movement ecology. It's not only conservation, it's lots of things called, lots of things related to dispersal behavior, to survival, and of course to the recovery rates of this eagle. So you are more than invited. I will thank you all if you are able to do this. And as a small present, here is a small video that we did with one partner of ours. So hope you can enjoy this. Well, so far, this was all I had to tell you about the weeping eagle. Of course, you now know why it's weeping eagle, because of the sound it makes. I have to thank all the associations who work with us. And thank you, HMANA, again, for giving me this opportunity. I'm open to any question. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Diego. That was quite fascinating to learn about the Chaco Eagle. For many of us, even the first time that we're hearing about this eagle, and I guess no surprise, really thinking about how rare it is and how little known it was before your project brought light to it. So thank you for all you're doing in the conservation and research and outreach world to help this species recover. And I think there are a lot of really useful transferable pieces of information that a lot of us can use in our own studies, trying to conserve local species around us. So some great ideas there and some really fantastic photos and videos too. So well done. We did get quite a few questions. I'll jump right into some of these right now. The first one I guess I'll throw out there is there any sort of migration that goes on with the Chaco Eagle?
Well, for the moment, Chaco Eagle is considered sedentary, so we don't have any clue that any population may migrate. Of course, as always with science, I have to be very sensible. We only know the populations in the southernmost part of the distribution range. Apparently, it is not migrant at all. What it does a lot is dispersal, and I am coming up with the first results on dispersal. Natal dispersal, which is actually the distance from the nest where the chick was born, and the place where it establishes a new reproductive individual, can be up to 500 kilometers or even more. Which is, I mean, it's not migration, but it's some sort of movement, very big movement. But no, for the moment, there is no migration that we have accounted for.
Okay, thanks. We had a question about habitat requirements a little bit. Can you describe its particular habitat requirements or unique characteristics of where it lives?
Yeah, Chaco Eagle lives Chaco Eagle occupies mainly savanna-like open woodlands and bushy steppes, xerophytic forests of semi-arid and arid areas of Argentina. That's what we know. In these places, summer temperatures can scale up to 45 degrees Celsius, which I guess is like 112 or 13 Fahrenheit. Scarce annual rainfall. And of course, it needs big trees to make the nest, but it doesn't need very close forests. All that we know of this eagle is that it's not very fast in flying. So it needs open areas to hunt for their prey, which, as you saw, were tortoises, snakes, armadillos. They are not very fast moving animals. So that's more or less what we know about the habitat.
Okay, thank you. We had a question from Jerry about aging the subadults. Is there a way to age subadults Chaco eagles by their plumage characteristics or any other field marks?
Well, that's a very good question. We have had very few individuals so far. Sightings are very scarce. If you go to eBird, you see the amount of sightings is good, but you have to take into account that there are lots of years. So it's not very easy to see an eagle. So far, we are not experts in this. We have a friend in Buenos Aires, Matthias Johan, who was also a trainee at Hawk Mountain Sanctuary some years ago, working a lot in migration. He knows more about this, of course. So far, I cannot tell you any way to age them, and that has a very funny reason, because we release these individuals, we tag them, and we never see them again. If it was not for the GPS transmitters, we would not see them again. So I never saw a Chaco eagle without a transmitter and that we had tagged with a leg band, for example, which gives us a lot of clues regarding survival and also the elusive behavior of this eagle. hopefully when years go by, we will be able to age individuals as good as you do with, for example, golden or bald eagles.
Great, thank you. I have some questions from Yvonne. I'll jump into the first one about the diet of the eagle. Is there a resistance to venomous snakes with the 2 venomous snakes, or do they simply avoid being bitten?
Well, that's some research that should be that we could do in the future. If you can see this picture is very good. On the left, there are 2 eagles. If you see the tarsi, they are like I love to say they are barefoot, so they don't have feathers there. That's very similar to other species that hunt on snakes. For example, although it's not related at all, the secretary bird of South Africa, they are very used to hunting snakes with that tarsi. Having no feathers allows them to avoid that it smokes the venom. Also, if you look at the tarsi, I don't know if I have any picture in here, like very close picture, maybe not. The shields, the small shields of the tarsi are very big actually, and are built in a way that resembles a lot the armors of medieval warriors. So that may be an adaptation for eagles to avoid the biting of these snakes. Nothing for the moment with this resistant, like physiological resistance. We have no clues for the moment.
Okay, thanks. Another question from Yvonne about the electrocutions. Was the main argument to modify the electrical poles related to power outages?
To what?
The electrocution issue, when they were getting electrocuted, was the argument to the power companies did it have to do with power outages that could have been happening?
I didn't get the last word.
The power outage. So the electrocution would reduce electricity flow.
So you are asking me if when we were talking with electrical companies, what was our best reason to bring them?
Yes, I think that's fair. Yeah.
Of course, it was not Chaco Eagle. I mean, as happens in all the world, people are not so concerned about conservation. The thing is that when an individual gets electrocuted, all the line breaks. So there are lots of villages in western La Pampa province, which are very small and depend a lot on these power lines. If an animal gets electrocuted here, all the line will break, so they will be without light for 2 or 3 days. Imagine this happening in winter. That was one of the main reasons that for them it was very like astonishing, and they say, okay, this is good. Let's do something, because of course the mitigation measurements that we are applying are not only for wildlife. It's like rescue ramps also help farmers to avoid dead bodies on the water tank. I don't know if that was the question of.
I think that's a great answer. Yeah, I think that explains it really well. Relatedly, I was wondering, and I'm sure you did have certain resistance to some of these awareness campaigns, especially when you were meeting with farmers and potentially people who weren't initially as open to this. What were some of the takeaways? Was it always aimed at, there are some advantages to stopping eagle mortality that would benefit the farmer as well? Or were there some other useful messages that we can take into other projects?
Well, I've been 6 years in this project. As I told you, the first outreach campaigns were made in the early years. What I can tell you is the only takeaway is to listen to these people, because of course they are right at some point. In the early years in Argentina, when it was starting to be occupied, I'm talking about the 1850s or 1950s, those 100 years, lots of people from Europe would migrate to Argentina to do livestock, but with sheep. So Argentina, Patagonian Argentina is famous because there were lots of sheep at some point. And they were raised in a way that was very free. So lots of sheep would be in millions of hectares. So I can imagine that in the past, some farmer would have seen a Chaco eagle actually preying on a small sheep that maybe was injured. This could be true. And if this happened, word by word, the message spreads very quickly. When we got into the new era, sheep are not anymore useful here. The price of wool went down. They started raising cows. That's why you know Argentina, because of the cow meat nowadays. But still, people hated this eagle because of past beliefs and traditions. So what was the point? The point was to talk with them, install camera traps, and once we got the evidence, show them. When we showed these pictures to these farmers, they became the first defenders of the Chaco eagle. I can think of 3 people with name and last name that maybe are listening or maybe not, that are one of our best, that they are the 3 best sponsors that we have in La Pampa, not because they give us money, but because every time they hear about Chaco eagle, they call us. They are the best defenders. Well, the 3 of them were paid in the past to hunt for these eagles. So this means a lot. Like, we are able to change the perception of people. Yes, we are. We have to be cautious of any aspect that they are telling us, of course. They are not telling any lie. They just tell about their lives, and we have to try to tell them, yeah, these guys, these eagles prey on venomous snakes. This is good for you. When we told them that, they were like amazed. And of course, this is very, this depends a lot on the site. For example, in northern Argentina, they didn't have this problem with Chaco eagle because sheep were never raised. So I don't know. We have to go place by place and try to do our best.
Well, that's very, very powerful work that you're doing and making a difference. So,
thank you.
We have a few more excellent questions coming in here. So we'll ask about other threats to the eagles, hunting. How did, Esther asks, how did you collect data about hunting?
I think I lost the connection.
Sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Esther asks, how did you collect data about hunting?
Yeah, I didn't say that. That's a very good question, actually. We got calls from people that knew that there was an animal dead, but most of them were by interviews. So actually, when we did the personal interviews with ranchers, they would at first be proud, saying, yep, I hunt and I killed 3 eagles last year. We collected lots of data with this. And of course, when we started tagging and banding individuals, we were more able to collect more data.
Okay, thank you. Another threat is lead poisoning a threat to these eagles, as far as you know. This was a question from Crystal.
Lead poisoning, well, it should be. We have evidence that with condors, this happens. We have evidence that with other animals, this happens. And why not? Eagles can be opportunistic scavengers, so this could also happen. We don't have any evidence for the moment, but it could be a possibility.
Okay, a couple more questions. Have captive breeding efforts been considered?
That's another good question. There is a group in Buenos Aires that works with captive bred eagles. For the moment, they are doing a very big effort. The results are not so positive, and I don't blame them. I think that this eagle is very difficult because it only lays 1 egg. So, for example, you cannot do these translocation experiments with other eagles, like getting 1 egg from one nest and bringing it to another. They are very sensitive, and even when the eagles are successfully released, I think I don't have the exact data, but 75% of the individuals that they released are actually dead now, because they are very clumsy, they get very impronted with people. It's not very easy. This eagle is a very wild animal, and for the moment, it's not easy to do a captive breeding campaign.
Okay, and on that topic, Mark had a suggestion, possibly that white-tailed eagle reintroduction efforts in the Isle of Wight, England, could be useful in some way to such a project. Is that something you've come across?
We have not thought a lot about that. Of course, it's a good idea. The problem with this eagle is that we don't know a lot where it was in the past. So it's 20 years since we started studying it. So we don't know if it was in other provinces or not. Apparently, eBird tells us where it was. So we cannot reintroduce the eagle in any part since we don't know where it was again. And very related to the other answer, showing this low life, this high mortality, this 1 egg per reproductive attempt, it would be a lot of effort and money, and I am not very sure if it would be profitable in the long term. I would love to say yes, but I have to be honest at some point.
Okay, and I think one last question from Yvonne. Is there any issue with the sex ratio of males to females because of such a small population, presumably?
Well, that's a very interesting question. So far, and this is very well, it's not surprising at all. All the individuals that we have tagged, not all, but 9 out of 10 of every individual that we have tagged at the nest has been a female. And you can think about this as an advantage or not, because if you think that males are more exposed to hunting, to arriving to different places, exploring new areas, then males are more prone to dying. If more females are being born than males, then that's not adapted at all. For the moment, our sample size is so small that we cannot say anything, but we are starting to study this carefully because it may be a very big issue.
Okay, and we have time for one more quick question. Okay, a question from Jerry about what type of telemetry are you using in your study?
So it's the Argos Telemetry. It's GPS GSM, I think is the name. We have these Argos PTT transmitters. They give us a very good location. It's like 3 to 5 meters error, which is actually very, very good. And we work with Argos. The company is Argos, who gives us all the location points. So far, so at first we started with VHF in 2011, but those devices have been switched off, and now we are full-time working with these PTT transmitters that were donated by the Center of Conservation Biology in Virginia.
Okay, fantastic. Well, aside from that, you're getting a lot of great comments thanking you for your work and how excellent a presentation it was. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Julie.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Diego. What a fascinating species, really. I knew nothing about it, and it was really, really eye-opening. And just thank you for your ongoing efforts. All your education that you're doing and efforts to reduce all these preventable mortality risks. It's clearly, from your presentation here, it's clearly helping the species. So we wish you the best of luck with your conservation efforts, and wish with your finishing your PhD. I know you're heading back to Argentina soon. So we wish you the best of luck there. We have, as far as next month for Lunch and Learn, we're going to be shifting gears and talking about red-tailed hawks. Wednesday, June 29th, we have Nick Alioto talking about red-tailed hawk movement and ecology. So we'll be sending that out it'll be on all over our social media outlets. And just thank you so much, everybody, today for joining us. And again, to Diego for sharing your research.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share my research with these rare species. And of course, if you have any other questions, you know where to find us. And thank you for listening.
Okay, great. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.